There's clearly a lack of feminine education out there. There's clearly a need and a desire that women have instinctively and biologically and spiritually to go back to our original design that God made us to be. I am not a man. I am a woman. God made me a woman, and I like womanhood. I like being a woman. I like that I can do things that a man cannot do biologically. I like that I don't have to live with the pressures that a man has to live with. I don't have to live like that. I can have leisure time. I can rest and relax, and I can also be a caregiver to my children and the community and others. Hi, wives and future wives. I just want to encourage you to click the affiliate Amazon link in my bio. There you can find books that are going to help you on your wifehood journey. I'm telling you, it's going to help change your mindset. It's going to help you on your femininity journey as well. Listen, click the link and get those books so you can soar and thrive on your quest to being the wife God has called you to be. Because remember, the wife is not just a married woman under the law, but she is a mindset. God bless. My wives and future wives, I want to talk about this whole soft girl trend. To be honest, I don't have a problem with this concept. I think that a lot of women are realizing living this feminist lifestyle that feminism has pushed on us and told us that women need to live is actually more complicated and not really scientifically correct for a woman anyway. And so I think a lot of women are pushing and bucking against that whole boss girl, boss lady, masculine, hard girl life that has been pushed for the past 60 years. And they're opting for a more feminine and soft and lovely lifestyle. And I think it's great. I think it's great. But I will say, I do think that something is missing in this whole conversation. If you look at a lot of videos about the soft girl life, a lot of it seems to be about self-care, a luxurious lifestyle of self-care, laying around, relaxing, chilling at the beach, reading a book, doing things like that, leisure stuff. I see a part of the internet doing that when it comes to the soft girl stuff. I think self-care is great. I think having leisure time as a woman is great. Rejuvenating yourself, doing feminine activities, doing things where you can just rest, because women, we actually do need a lot of rest biologically. We need a lot more rest than men, which is why we shouldn't be trying to live like men, because God created them to work in a way that we are not biologically capable of working in that same type of way. We are not biologically able to handle a lot of the stress that they do. And that's why so many young women, or just women today, that have lost it or that are going through so much, even mishaps with their cycle and infertility and a lot of things, because we are stressing ourselves out trying to climb the corporate ladder, trying to be this boss chick, trying to do all these things that we think womanhood is about. And we don't realize that God in the Bible says that God made us the weaker vessel. So I think this soft girl trend of being, relaxing and having leisure time, not wanting to be this CEO girl boss type of person is great. But the issue that I feel like I see is that it's focusing too much on leisure stuff and not giving the full picture of it, of what a soft girl really is supposed to be. It's a trend. It's called soft girl trend, soft girl life or trend. But I don't think this should be a trend. I think that this should be a lifestyle. I've heard people say I'm in my soft girl era. That means I'm going to be doing this soft girl life until it doesn't serve me anymore. But being a woman is a lifetime thing. Being feminine is a lifetime thing. Being soft is a lifetime thing. Now, I know that a lot of American women, we need to be trained in our femininity a lot of times because, again, for 60 plus years, we've allowed feminism to make us masculine, or because of maybe our upbringing, we've become super masculine than maybe women in the past. However, I just think that we shouldn't look at this soft girl life as a trend. Also, a lot of this soft girl life stuff is really biblical womanhood. And it's more than just self-care. It's more than just facials. It's more than just a trend. It's a lifestyle. There are so many femininity channels now. There are so many channels about being soft, being feminine. And I think that's great. We need that. We need that. There's clearly these channels are popping up because we're realizing that we're getting burnt out chasing these career fantasies of being this corporate CEO or this boss chick. It's okay if you want to be a wife and a mother. It's okay if you want to, have a homestead and grow your own food. It's okay if you don't want to be argumentative and you want peace and you want to speak softly and you want to carry yourself as daintily. That's okay. That is how God made us. And so I think the soft girl trend is good. I just don't want it to be a trend. I want it to be a lifestyle. And I don't also want it to just focus on leisure activity, although some of that is important, but let's focus on biblical womanhood. Because you're not going to always be able to have leisure time, especially if you're busy as a mom, as a wife. You're not going to always be able to just sit back and relax. That's why some of these soft girl videos about self-care can be overly done, over the top. It could come off like this is just what it is. It's just feminine care. And it's not just that, because there are some days where you're not going to be able to take a bubble bath. Some videos may have you might see people taking bubble baths every night. Sometimes you're not going to be able to do that. Sometimes you're not going to be able to have self-care every single day or every single week. Now, some people are able to put that in their schedule, but then other people are not. And I don't want you to feel bad because you feel like I'm not living the soft life because I'm not going out on the beach and reading books and getting facials and massages and things like that. No, that is not the totality of femininity, and that's not the totality of being a biblical womanhood or a soft girl. Because when you have children, when you're in a high stress situation, can you still remain soft? Can you still remain in your feminine in those situations? Yes, you can. It's possible. Feminine women still have to work. If you don't have the luxury of having a husband, you're still going to have to go to your job until you are blessed to find a husband and maybe stay home if that is your desire. Even if you do stay home and your husband works, you're still going to have to work. You're still going to have to play with your kids. You're going to have to organize the house. There's still a lot of things that have to be done. So soft girl is not always about just leisure activity and just being careless. It's about a lifestyle, embracing and enjoying our femininity, asking for help when we can't do it ourselves. It's a very masculine thing to not ask for help. Most men, they don't like going to the doctor. They'll do everything they can so they don't have to go to the doctor, because they have it in them that they have to be that strong foundation. They have to be that they don't want to ask for help. Sometimes we don't get it as women. We're like, why don't you just ask for help? Your back is hurting and this is hurting. Why don't you just go to the doctor? Or why don't you ask so-and-so to help you? But men, it's like in them to not want to ask for help for whatever reason. But women, the part of us being feminine and soft is when we need help, we're asking for help. We are dependents. Independence, that's more of a masculine trait than it is a female trait. A female trait is dependent. This is why God said the husband is the head of the family, then it's the wife under him. Because women, we are supposed to be dependent on God. We are supposed to be dependent on our fathers. And then when we get married, we're supposed to be dependent on that man. The whole independent woman thing, that's new. That's a new concept. That's a modern concept. Women in the past knew they had to depend on men, especially if they wanted to survive during those hunter-gatherer days. And I understand we're not in those hunter-gatherer days anymore. But that still doesn't mean we don't depend on men, because our whole infrastructure was built by men. The technology that we use, the clothes that we buy, the stores that we frequent, the cars that we drive, it was built by a man. If something breaks in your house, most likely a man is coming to fix it. If you get in trouble and you call the police, most likely a policeman is coming. So we can't sit here and say that we're separate from men just because, women are killing it in school and killing it in the corporate world. No, we still need men. The difference was women back in the day, even though they had a lot more harsher times than we did, because back then, I mean, before the oh my goodness, before the Industrial Revolution, where machines and all of that stuff became a great help. Women back then, they had to farm, they were having kids, so they didn't have birth control or anything like that, so they were having multiple children, they were having to farm, to plant, to sow, to do so much more than women today. And yet they were still, a lot of them were still able to be and remain lovely and feminine. It wasn't so much about the clothes that they were wearing. It wasn't so much about wearing femininity, and being a soft girl is a lifestyle. It's not so much just about, oh, I'm going to just relax and have leisure time, or I'm just going to wear this dainty dress. No, it's not so much about the clothing. It's about the character. And even when women back then, when they were farming in the agricultural days and all of that stuff, they still depended on their husbands. They still knew that they couldn't get through this life, even though they were doing a lot more than women are doing now. Women today, we don't have to go outside and get our food and plant and dig up dirt and dig up the seeds or whatever, pull up vegetables. Like a lot, we don't do that. A majority of us don't. A majority of women are city girls these days. So we have it a lot easier than women back then, but yet women back then knew that it was okay to depend on a man. They had no problem depending on a man, and they were able to still be feminine. They were still able to be soft. They were okay with being dependents. They were okay with their roles as women and motherhood. And so what I'm saying is, this whole soft girl trend is great, but I don't want it to be a trend. I don't want it to be a trend. I want it to be a lifestyle. And I don't want it to I don't want you to think that it's just having leisure activity and relaxing, but it's also it's a lifestyle about the character and truly owning who God has called you to be as a woman, who God has made you to be as a woman. The weaker vessel, it is completely owning that I am a woman. God made me a woman, and I like womanhood. I like being a woman. I like that I can do things that a man cannot do biologically. I like that I don't have to live with the pressures that a man has to live with. I don't have to live like that. I can have leisure time. I can rest and relax, and I can also be a caregiver to my children and the community and others. And I can inspire, and I can encourage, and I can uplift, and I can birth babies, and I can do so much. And I'm just going to live right in that. I'm not going to try to overdo that, or I'm not going to try to be something that I'm not. I'm not going to allow the world and its systems and the different ideologies out there to get me out of where God has called me to be as a woman. That's what being a soft girl is. That's what femininity is all about. And that's why it should not be a trend. It should be a lifestyle. It should not be an era. It should be a lifestyle. And it's not just about one thing, but it's the totality of being a woman. And once we realize that and grasp that, I think that we will be better off in the end. God bless.
More content updates coming very, very soon. God bless.